You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, a brand new show in the name of love. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am a certified life, career, yoga, and meditation coach. And I have a co-host with me. She'll be joining me every week. She has her own area of expertise when it comes to love and connections. Let's bring her on, Kimmy Seltzer. Hi, Kimmy.
Hello there. Oh, I'm so excited.
I am too. So you look fabulous. What have you been up to?
Thank you. It's been fun and interesting times, and this relates to probably the topic that we're going to talk about. I've been helping a lot of clients lately where there's this like kind of holding pattern. I don't know if, people have been talking about it. It's almost like being in a plane where there's, in relation to dating, of course, we're talking about. It's like people are waiting for summer, they're waiting for after taxes, they're waiting for the vaccines, like all these things. And so a lot of people are feeling stuck. So I don't know. I just got off the phone with someone who was feeling really stuck. She just moved and she's like, oh, I have to get my house in order to have people over. And I'm like, do you realize you're doing the same thing with your house and you're doing with your dating profile? Like waiting for. And I think there's this analysis paralysis and perfection paralysis that happens with that keeps us stuck. So I don't know, there's just this, feeling in the air of that, and excited to help a lot of people start moving because it's time to move, right? Like there's a lot of like really hopeful and positive things, especially as we head into summer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's interesting what you brought up about being stuck. My mother and I, we've been here through the whole pandemic. Normally wouldn't be, but we are. And we both are vaccinated. It's 3 weeks now since, and we haven't been anywhere. And we talk about it and then we don't go anywhere. So
right. And before that, weren't you saying, oh yeah, well, I'll wait until I get vaccinated, then I'll go out. And here you're still not going out. Well, and that's the thing. And I've been telling people all along during this pandemic that this is the time to really work on things that were even hard for you before the pandemic hit. It's a skill building time. It's a time to slow down and really figure out what it is that you want and where you want to go. And I think the people who remain kind of like in that holding pattern for this whole year are now finding it so hard to move, because it's a rabbit hole. The more you wait, the harder it is. And so, yeah, you got to take your mom out.
You got to get out. But, as we were just talking at the start of the show, when you're an entrepreneur, we're working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I take off maybe 4 hours, but that's another story. So our guest is actually here. And before we bring her out, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Kimmy? And then let's talk about the topics that we're going to be sharing on this show. Sound good?
Yeah, that's perfect. So my name is Kimmy Seltzer, and I'm an authentic dating strategist, a confidence therapist, and an image consultant. So what does that all mean? It's kind of, I use this 3-prong approach in helping people look and feel their best so they attract what they want. And I have a different approach than a lot of people. When I was a therapist in a traditional sense, I used to work from the inside out. I now work from the outside in because I believe there's a symbiotic relationship between the outer and the inner in the way that we feel about ourselves and the confidence. And I love starting with raising people's what I call style intelligence. And style intelligence has to do with your wardrobe, with your body language, your first impressions, all the things that make up your advertisement, if you will, because a lot of times you may be doing a lot of the inner work, but your outside isn't congruent or matching maybe the growth that you did inside. And so this is why I love like working on, people's pictures and profiles, and I do makeovers both virtually and in person. And, it's sometimes those small things that add up to the bigger success when it comes to feeling good. And that does relate to the sex appeal and flirting. And so then I go inward and I work on people's emotional intelligence. And that is how we express ourselves, also be in our authenticity, and also the vulnerability piece. How we express ourselves is so important in our profiles, in our messaging. And then I work on social intelligence. And yes, this includes flirting. So I've been doing a lot of flirt workshops this year, both virtually, and then, eventually I'll get back to the in-person. A lot of times I describe myself as Hitch meets What Not to Wear, if you know that show. And so I help people really find opportunities and interact with the opposite sex. And I mean, the bottom line is you can meet people everywhere and anywhere, and really taking a look at the people as a puzzle. It's about not just like a cookie cutter approach where, here's something, plug in and go. We all have our own journey, and our past is connected to the future and the choices we make and the patterns that get created. And usually those are the things that, kind of trip us up. That's why I call myself a strategist nowadays, because I really believe it's about breaking patterns. We all get into those patterns that sometimes we just can't see. So whether it's helping people with their style or express themselves or flirt, helping in those areas creates what I call the charisma quotient. And that is the charisma that just draws people to you. So that's a little bit about me. I have all different kinds of programs both virtually and in person. And I'm super excited about this show, Jacalyn, because
I am too. And I'm really excited that our guest is here. I'm going to bring her into the broadcast. Hi, Lisa. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you guys?
It's great to see you.
It's so nice to meet you. It's so nice to see you. I'm very happy to be part of this show. It's quite a little bit of a surprise. I'm a little nervous, to be honest.
Don't be nervous. We're very nice. We're very, it's a safe place. I want to say hello to Mohammed Shorfi for he's giving us the love sign. So our show is In the Name of Love, and we want to talk about self-care. We want to talk about dating, relationships, image, anything that has to do with love, mental health. So Lisa, why don't you share a little bit about you, who you are, and the value you're bringing to this world?
Oh gosh. Okay. So about me, I am Lisa Ferrell. That's my name. I live in New York City, and I wear a lot of different hats. So most importantly for the topic of this conversation, I'd like to consider myself to be a dating industry expert. I've done matchmaking for over 5 years, coming up on 6. I was in a national sales training role for many years. I've done thousands of interviews. And when I was having these like really important conversations where people were being very tender and open about who they are and what they're looking for, being on the front side of the company, I would do the sales call with them and see if I could offer them a membership, whenever I realized that not everybody needs to hire a matchmaker, right? There was always this major complaint in, really wanting to get a better leg up on just saving more time. And so saving more time and trying to find a match. So I launched my own brand in 2017. I was just straight up like getting dating profile revisions from anybody and everybody I could, including Uber drivers. And, since 2017, and with the help of Clubhouse and many other social media platforms, I've been able to, help more singles figure out what is like what we were talking about earlier with Kimmy, is that what are you doing where you're just misrepresenting yourself, right? So I do some coaching. I definitely help singles get a little bit more of an unbiased point of view on how they can position themselves better so that they can find a partner. So, yeah, that's me.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So, Kimmy, when we think about In the Name of Love, and Lisa, I want to have you weigh on this as well. So, how important is it to love yourself before you can meet someone else and love someone else?
Oh my God. I mean, Lisa, I know you probably join me in this theory, but a lot of people say that, oh, it's all about self-love and everything without being so like airy fairy. It really is about that, because I always tell people it's not about the man. It's not about the woman. It's about you. And when you love you, that's when other people do too, like hands down. And Lisa, I don't know if you find this to be true as well, but often people are trying to attract, a certain maybe, caliber person or things that they're interested in, something that they have in common. But if they're not putting themselves out there as that person, then there's incongruency, right? So I'll just tell a quick story. There was a guy who was looking for an athletic woman who was fit and enjoyed like a healthy lifestyle. Yet when I saw him, because I do these virtual makeovers, when I saw him, he didn't exude a healthy lifestyle, right? Like he was overweight, first of all. He didn't exercise. He wore ginormous clothes that weren't fitting him. And so he wasn't advertising what he was trying to attract. And so it does. And he wasn't really like into that self-love, like you were mentioning. Like he was so focused on the woman that he didn't pause to take a look at himself. And so I see this happen over and over again when people really pull in and take a look at their life and how they can make themselves feel better, both outside and in. That's when they start attracting all these things in their life. I don't know, Lisa, do you find the same thing?
I have this theory, right? So instead of focusing on that first impression, I think a lot of people are very quick to write someone off, right? I was like, oh, I don't want to deal with that, because we have this idea of like, I've gone through the work. I've put myself out there. I've, come to this place where I'm at a good point in life, which is whenever I usually get in touch with people. And then they say, but I want someone who has been through it. And so that way we can be on the same page. And I'm like, but don't you see these like 80-year-old couples that have been together for the last 40 years? Do you think they were at their prime and how great they felt about themselves in order to get into a relationship? Like we all have something about us that is critically tender. It's a point. It's not like you're hitting, your elbow against like hitting the funny bone, right? I think that we've kind of gone away from this whole like, I need to be perfect, and therefore whoever I find must be perfect as well, so that we can be perfect together. Whenever like we're all dealing with something, right? I think I think a lot of people need help in figuring out what are those things that we can tolerate within ourselves and that we have to be really honest about, so that we can find love in a real relationship, which is truly something that takes a lot of courage and confidence. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, a lot of good points there. We need to take a break, but when we come back, I want to pick up where we left off. And hopefully the sun keeps coming in and it's all over my green screen, so I keep moving further and further. So when we come back, I might not
on you.
I might not even be here. I might just be green screen. Okay, stay with us. We're going to watch 3 commercials from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn in the Name of Love. That's kind of cute. Like, you can rap to me in the name of love. Get it? My co-host is Kimmy Seltzer. You will find us here every week at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are live streaming on Business Talk Radio, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch TV. And then our shows become podcasts on 5 other platforms. Welcome, Lisa Ferrell from New York. It's great to have you with us.
Hello. Hi. How's it going?
So Kimmy, you were talking at the top of the show about some of the issues that you're hearing from your clients, that people are just stuck and then they're almost like paralyzed and they keep making excuses, putting things off. I'll start to meet someone when, I'll do this when, and then nothing ever happens.
Yes, definitely. Well, and I think that people, and this is what I find about when they're trying to make movement in their love life, or even any kind of change that's supposed to happen in their life, they shoot too high. They have like really high expectations. And even when people go online, I see this. I was just talking to that client I shared with you at the top of the call about where she would like take these profiles of the guys and she would vet them like, okay, is this my boyfriend? Is this my boyfriend? Is this my boyfriend? It's like, no, like, just really work on connecting and having fun. I tell people all the time, just pretend as if you are at a party and the online profiles is just your party. And your job is to connect and get curious on, who it is you really want to meet. And when you do that, it takes the pressure and you really focus more on the presence and connecting with great people. And when people do that, they start, meeting people left and right and giving chances to people they never did before. Lisa, do you find that too?
Lisa?
Is she there?
Sorry.
Lisa?
This thing is not working as well as I like it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? So the idea of procrastination is something that we all experience in life, right? Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I know my signal might be a little bit funky. This idea of like procrastination is something that happens with all of us. I think with high achievers and people that have, they're high value individuals, right? They do really well for themselves in every aspect of life, except whenever it comes to dating, this is their default, right? They aren't great at it. They're better. Most people that I've worked with are either better at being in a relationship or being entirely single. Doing the whole dating thing and having that suave and, the connecting part just isn't something that's a strong point. And then you mix technology inside of it. And it's just like, I'd rather just go back to work because I had a couple bad experiences. And what comes easy to me is going, which is my profession. It's something that I'm really passionate about. And so I'm right there with you whenever I hear you talk about, how people will procrastinate, they'll push this off because it's just not fun anymore. And I think whenever you get into that space of being burnt out, it's really a moment where you have to take a step back and be like, why am I burnt out? And it's like, oh, it's just because I haven't had a good first date in a while. Let me mix things up, or maybe I should get on a different dating platform. So that I can kind of get a refresh on the people that are in the pool. So I've seen that happen quite a bit too.
Yeah, very good points. I mean, I know with myself, since I have been, I started this business, that I really don't care about meeting anyone, because I just feel like I'm putting all of my effort into my business because I find so much passion in what I'm doing. And so a person, if I were to get involved with someone, it would be a distraction. And then I'd have to take the time and the passion I have for this and put it over there for that.
Yeah, I agree. Lisa, it's kind of like what you were saying. I believe confidence is experience. I don't believe there's one person out there that's not confident. And like Dr. Jacalyn, like your confidence right now is probably more with what you're doing right now in the work. And that's where your passion is. And that's where it's easier to focus on. And when there's areas like dating or other things that are going on that you don't feel so confident in, that gets harder because you don't have either the experience or B, positive exposure to it. So that's why, and I don't know how you feel, but like starting small, and again, not putting too high of expectations around starting. And maybe it's just having conversations online and not thinking of it as dating per se, but just having conversations and, being in front of male energy and that kind of thing. And I think when you start small and really just focus on those things, it can break you out of that state of not feeling so, secure in those areas.
Right. I would agree with you. I think, and I think there's probably other people out there who feel the same way. And maybe once your business gets into whatever groove, then you will have more time.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have a profile up, Dr. Jacalyn?
No, I don't. I don't have one up because, the thing is, when I did have one up, I got feedback from a couple of people. I actually went out on 2 dates, and I wasn't interested in either person after the first date. And so I basically just said, I don't think there's any chemistry. And I was reprimanded that nobody can tell anything by the first date. And I said, well, I can pretty much tell because I'm not interested. And the one person wrote me a really long, nasty text message, like cursing, yelling. And then at the end, he apologized and said that he hoped that I found someone, but that this has happened to him before, that people they don't want to see him after the first date. And part of the problem was he spent the whole time in his phone showing me pictures of things that he didn't say, do you mind if I show you 50 pictures of things and I didn't think that was really interesting. Sorry.
Right.
Lisa, what do you think about that?
I would just say that, well, first of all, did you have a conversation before you met up with him?
We did. Yeah, we spoke on the phone a couple of times, and I thought he seemed very interesting. Okay. Yeah. So, Kimmy, what are your...
So he didn't deal with rejection very well, it sounds like.
No, and actually, it seems like he has a temper, and he had shared some stories with me about that as well. I'm sorry, I'm hearing a lot of clicking noise. Is anyone typing?
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. I was going to ask you too. I don't know what that is.
Okay, it stopped. Okay, great, because our viewers don't like noise.
I know. It sounded like a chipmunk eating or something like that.
Yeah, it definitely did. Okay, so we were talking about the fact that I don't have a profile, because if I did, that would require time that I'd have to put into answering people. Because if you're not going to answer people and give them this respect, why bother?
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to really what your mission is. And a lot of times people, again, will say, oh, I should start dating, or I should do this. And they're not really clear in what it is that they're set out to do. And again, if you think of it as this big thing, like I should date, but then you don't focus on just like the little things. And I think for you could probably do this, and I don't know how you feel about it, but just getting crystal clear on, okay, what could I do in the next month to just meet some people, and not think of it necessarily as dating, but just, again, being around the male species and having good conversation, and maybe practice flirting. And I find that when you break it down into like small, tangible goals, then it adds up to the bigger goal later on. It's like a marathon, right? Like you can't race to the finish line. All you can do is exercise and pace it out so that you get there. But if you don't have your mission that's clear and you don't have the roadmap to where you want to go, that's when sometimes people feel like they're spinning. Right. They're doing donuts on the road kind of thing. And so I think that's one of the first things is really getting clear on what it is you want. And sometimes what you want, you also fear. So it's easier just not doing anything at all. And that becomes like that tug of war, that ends up going on.
Right. That's very true. I want to say hi to Mindy Thomas and also Poo Poo TJ and Phil Peters and John Sykes. Thank you so much for watching. I think our guests must have had technology issues, so apologize about that.
Yeah, I think she left. But anyway, we can have a conversation still. Oh my God. Well, what are some of the things that, and this is why I'm excited about this show, is to kind of really talk about different aspects of love. What are some things that you're hearing out there? And I don't know if, like whether you have other single friends that prevents them from maybe going out there and dating. Like, are you hearing just like in your circle things?
Yes. Lisa's back. Hi, Lisa. Welcome back. We figured you had a technology problem. So one thing that I found is that people are very open to Zoom calls. They're very open to Zoom dates. Mm-hmm. And that's going on, I think, quite a bit. And I feel like even with what I'm doing, I interview people all week, every week, and you have a connection with people, right? You can definitely feel chemistry through the computer. I hate to say it. And it's actually kind of fun. People have been flirting with me today, actually, which was definitely fun.
Nice. You're doing it.
So, Lisa, what are your thoughts about like making a connection with someone, even though it's through technology?
Well, I think the way that we're making connections now is changing. People are they have dating app burnout, right? So a lot of my friends that are in the dating space are saying that men and women are hitting them up and sliding into the DMs, if you will. So you don't necessarily need a dating app to meet somebody. You can do it on Instagram. TikTok is wildly popular as well, among all ages, which I think is really interesting that they still want to incorporate technology because it's just so accessible, right? But we're getting burned out on using what we would consider like traditional, social media platforms. We want something new, something more fresh. And whenever you're you create a dating profile, you really don't get a chance to get to know someone because it's kind of missing the rawness to it, which I think is why a lot of people are, turning to other means like TikTok, for example, where it's just more raw. It's a little bit more unedited. There's lots of more options. You can hear people's personality on there. So I think that as we're still going to incorporate technology, we're just going to be using the next best thing to get past all of the mask and the filtering taking place. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that comment. We have to take a break, but something I want to talk about when we come back, because I think it's a real issue. So for all the folks who have not been with anyone, right? It's been a pandemic, we're in a lockdown, you haven't had any intimacy with anyone. How do you then all of a sudden you meet somebody and everybody's afraid? Did you have your shots? Like we had the whole long list of other things that you could possibly have. But then how do you get into that intimacy kind of feeling where it's okay to actually be with someone physically? You know what I mean? So I'd like to explore that when we come back. Right now, we're going to hear from my friend Mindy Thomas, who is out in Vegas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mindy Thomas, founder of Thomas Career Consulting. If you are dealing with the stress of having been terminated or being laid off, considering a career change, or you simply cannot land a job with your current resume, you came to the right place. My professional expertise centers on being trained in two distinct areas: career counseling and career marketing. I am also the host of Career Chat, a weekly talk show which appears on RVN TV. My end game is helping you to overcome the self-doubt, the fear, and the other barriers you are facing right now in a very tricky, perplexing, and complicated job market. 6.5 seconds. That's how much time it takes a recruiter to scan your resume. On top of that, electronic applicant tracking systems may reject you even if you have the skills, education, and experience. I teach you how to win when you absolutely have to. My resume writing practice is built on a personalized, collaborative, and strategic approach that showcases your accomplishments in a way to get you noticed. At the center of my strategy is identifying your strengths and targeted keywords to make you stand out from the competition. As a professional resume writer, I know what it takes to impress even the most discriminating hiring manager. Changing careers, launching a new one, overwhelmed or stuck in a dead-end job? I have more than 2 decades of experience as a Georgetown-trained leadership coach, resume writer, career counselor, and recruiter. So whether you're a student, a top executive, or simply struggling to find your own career identity and you're feeling lost, you can count on me to lead you through the journey of self-discovery. I will formulate a step-by-step plan that begins with the assessment of your skills, your interests, your values, and your personality, and then explore the opportunities that are best suited to align with you. In essence, what makes sense for you? With 25 years of business experience, I have been privileged to work with a diverse group of adults, from young high school students to the millennials, the Generation X, Y, and Z, and boomers. Let me put that to work for you.
Welcome back. This is Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn in the name of love. I highly recommend that you reach out to Mindy Thomas. That woman is a rock star and can really help you in your career. We've got a couple of comments, and then I want to go to these comments are actually related to what I said. How do you go and become intimate with somebody once you've been in a lockdown and maybe put on a few pounds, maybe you don't like the way you're. Anyway, we've got, I don't know why there's not a name here, but have a couple tequilas.
Have a couple tequilas.
And then it must be Mindy. And I met someone organically. You go, girl. I love it. She moved during the pandemic from the Philly area out to Vegas, and she's already met someone. Love it. Okay, panel, what are your thoughts? Let's start with Kimmy.
Yeah, there's actually a term that's being used for like people who have taken a long break and now is getting back out there, and it's called new dawn daters, and it's like we're kind of entering, it was like we've been orbiting in a rocket and we're now landing on this thing called Earth, and it's the same Earth, although it looks a little bit different. So how do we navigate it? And, I think one of the things, and I too have found a lot of people have met significant others even during the pandemic. So even before we had the injections and before we had things that were not considered safe. And I think the same rules are going to apply as we like integrate back into the world. And that is, kind of this slow form of dating that's happening. I almost equate it back to, the earlier years when we actually used to court one another. So that's the beauty, I believe, of the video dating. And as Lisa was talking about, kind of more those organic ways of just getting to know someone and making more emotional connections so that there's trust that gets built. I think before the pandemic hit, what people were doing was just kind of swiping and meeting, and people were relying on the physicality. And now we can be more intentional in the way that we connect with people. And with that connection, we will build trust. And the most important thing is communication around all this stuff.
That's great. Thank you. Lisa, what's your perspective?
Here's my idea. Okay, listen, we've all been like caged animals for far too long. Like, you have to think about it this way. If you're scared to date because you're afraid, how do I do this? I have two main points. One, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to dating, in my opinion, because it flipped all of the fuckboys on their head. They don't have any game anymore. Women finally had the upper hand again, where all of a sudden women have been complaining about, how do I do this? It's not fair. I'm being treated like I'm just disposable. Well, yeah, you don't have to do that anymore, right? It's kind of like what Kimmy was saying, is that men have to actually try now. You have to actually work at it. You have to be really honest with each other? Isn't this what we've been complaining about for the last 20 years, especially since Tinder came around and flipped dating completely on its head? You have the upper hand again to be really honest and authentic with each other. And if it doesn't work, you just keep swiping, right? So the first thing I want to say is that you have to reset your mind and think like, this is the best time. And sitting on the sidelines and waiting around isn't going to help you get to where you need to be. First of all. Second of all, how do you be intimate with your partner? Well, think of it this way. This is going to be like hot girl summer all over again, because we're finally coming out of this hiding and this quarantine that we've been in, right? So you don't have to worry about getting in a relationship, because people are going to be really eager just to meet. And if you just start with like, I just want to go and sit down and have a meal with someone, isn't that so romantic on its own? I think we need to get back to basics in a sense of like Kimmy was saying, and that the actual idea of courtship is something that is going to be driving and should have been driving a lot of our behavior once this pandemic took place in the first place. So it's actually the best thing that could have happened. If you're nervous and how do you get into those intimate conversations? You do exactly what you want, which is you have the conversation so that you can figure out how someone thinks and where you can have, identify some serious boundaries.
I love the idea of bringing romance back, old school romance. That's something
going back to basics. Yeah. Lisa, it was so funny because I've been saying that too. I think there's going to be this like girls gone wild period where everyone's going to be like party in the streets. It's kind of the pendulum, right? Like we were over here and I think people are going to go a little wild. And then I think we're going to kind of recalibrate and come where somewhere in the middle. But with all of that, it will take kind of more that intentional and slower dating to build trust again.
Yeah, I agree. We have someone calling in and
cool.
Yeah, hold on. Well, I have to adjust the technology on the board. Okay, let's see if we can hear her. Hi, Mindy. Are you there, caller? It said Mindy, so I guess not. If you can, try to call us back again if you can. Oh, here we go. Mindy, are you there? She's here, but we can't hear her on the show. I don't know why. Okay, go ahead and tell us what your question is.
Oh, I didn't really have a question, but I kind of like what Kimmy said about, people taking it slow and stuff. What happened to me out here in Las Vegas was very organic. Someone said there was a happy hour and people from the area were coming in, and I showed up. And there were 2 or 3 token single guys. And the one guy that liked me, I didn't like, but the other one I liked. And what happened was we started doing things in a group setting, like golfing and coffee. And I would do dinner parties and I would invite them. It was sort of like a European model where you get to look at how they are in a crowd, how they are with your friends, how they are with you playing golf and things like that. And then finally, on Valentine's Day, the guy I like, which I just gave up on, I'm like, this guy cannot launch and execute. I just gave up the call. And I'm in the car with my daughter coming back from the strip from a lovely lunch with my children. And I said, I'm not picking the phone up. And she's like, it's Valentine's Day. He does not have a girlfriend. If he's calling me on Valentine's Day, Mom, pick it up. I'm like, no. Pick it up. So I picked it up. And, now it's, we're a thing. And I'm serious when I say that I had to have a couple tequilas a week later to make out with him. Right? Mm-hmm. I had 2 glasses of wine that night. I'm not a big drinker at all. And the people we were with downtown One was a Spanish guy, and he loved tequila. And I'm like, I haven't drank tequila in 30 years. But I'm telling you what, I don't regret it for 1 second that I took the edge off because I was nervous. I mean, you're 60-something years old. This is awkward. How do you get over it? How do you take the edge off? And I that's what I did.
Wow, that's fantastic. And by the way, she's a hottie. Doesn't matter what her age is. She's brilliant, successful, and she's beautiful.
But I like what Kimmy said because, you know, the fact is that things did move very slow, and I had, you know, come to the conclusion the guy, it's a failure to launch, and I'm moving on because I really did like him. And, you know, as suspected, he was kind of involved with someone, and he finally just cut her loose. And then Valentine's Day, you get a call, and you get a text message in the morning. It's like, oh, I'm just falling by those messages because I don't care anymore whether he texts me or not.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
and
yeah, listen, we're really happy for you that you made this connection. I think that's outstanding. Kimmy, Lisa, do you have anything you want to share with Mindy?
I'll go first. I'll say, Mindy, congrats to you getting yourself out there again. And I think it's interesting.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're going to have to listen through the show. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I think it's wonderful that you're getting yourself out there again. Drugs and alcohol can be one of the best things ever when used appropriately. But, you know, if you're a little nervous, that's okay. Like, you just got to get over it, right? And sometimes it works out, even whenever we're a little reluctant that we needed a little assistance. So that was your wingman or your wingwoman for the night, which is totally cool.
Yeah. Kimmy, I want to hear what you have to say. And something just popped in my mind. We don't have an opportunity to address it today, but I also want to talk about whenever we're talking about dating or relationships, it's always about man and woman, woman and man. What about same-sex couples? What about people who don't identify with the gender? You know, what about their dating patterns and how do we assist them? So, Kimmy, let's just go back to you if you have anything you want to say to Mindy.
Oh, no, I was going to just echo what Lisa said, and that I think it's fantastic. And what I heard too, and this happens so much, I think, with dating in general, especially as, you know, we've had kind of the lack of the ability to like meet in person and really, you know what's going on with everyone, is people like assume and predict a lot, you know, like, and we maybe think ahead of things or we think for people. But at the end of the day, when we really show up and we communicate what we want, that's when magic starts happening. You know, I mean, I love how Mindy's daughter made her pick up that phone, you know, and it had that not happened, maybe things didn't progress. And it's all about that communication piece. And there's so many ways that we communicate now, right? So I think it's figuring out too how you can get into the rhythm, and don't assume, don't predict, like just talk and connect, because I can see so many people have fallen apart when they don't do it. So Mindy, kudos to you.
Yay, Mindy Thomas. Woo! Thanks for calling in, Mindy. So we're at the end of our show, and I've got a Clubhouse room I'm running at 8. So I'd love for you to each share what's the best way to get in touch with you and what are the services that you provide. I'll start with you, Lisa.
Sure. Thank you. So you can find me on Clubhouse. It's Lisa Ferrell, and that's Ferrell is my last name. Ferrell, like Will Ferrell, no relation. And I host plenty of rooms with some of the other matchmakers on, trying to shoot your shot at the right person. I also am doing coaching as well. So I was the first ever person to do a live date on Clubhouse. Happened a couple days ago, and it was radically successful. So now I'm going to start offering coaching where I'm setting up mock dating, like first date introductions and stuff like that. So the services I offer, I do, dating profile revisions. I help people find the best app, the best matchmaker. I'm a little bit more of an, like the matchmaker for matchmakers is what you could consider me. Because I just like to give unbiased advice, and I'm pretty real and a little bit raw about it too. So you can find me on Clubhouse, or you can find me on Instagram as well. And that's lisaloveny, which stands for New York. So thanks, guys, for having me on here.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you over on Clubhouse, and so have you back on the program.
Yep.
Thank you. Take care. Well, Kimmy, thank you. This was a great first show. And we had a few challenges I did with the sun, but it's passed now. And I was thinking I was going to have to stand in the corner keep moving the computer. But anyway, it worked out well. It was great to have you here today. How can people reach you, and what are the services that you provide?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. And I'm so excited to do this show with you, Jacalyn. So yeah, the easiest is to go to my site, kimmyseltzer.com. And I'm pretty much at Kimmy Seltzer on all the social media handles, even in Clubhouse as well. And I have a new show on Amazon Live called Kimmy's Love Hub. So I'm doing kind of some fun things over there where you can catch me doing also mock dates and interviews. And I did a closet ambush the other day. And so that's super fun. And I also have my own podcast, The Charisma Quotient. So you can catch that pretty much everywhere you listen to your podcast. And yeah, I offer too a lot of different services. So if you're interested, just get in contact with me. I offer free, strategy sessions where we can kind of map out a plan and see what services is best. I have everything from like styling to coaching to combined programs for both men and women, which I'm really excited about, where we're going to do like speed dating and coaching together in a room, because it's time for the boys and the girls to get in the room together. I've been separating y'all. Now it's time to get together. I'm also going to start doing in person again in the summer. So definitely get in contact with me.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, for adding all the value and light and experience to the platform. So I appreciate it. I'm just going to make some announcements about future shows that we have coming up. So I will just take over the stage for now. Okay, thank you, everyone. We had 5 shows today, 5, and I highly encourage you to watch the first one with the royal commentators, the British royal commentators. That's on YouTube, as well as the rest of our programming. So what do we have coming up next? We have tomorrow at 12:30, Wrapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's your stage. You come on and you present for 32 minutes, whatever it is that you do. You sing, you dance, you wrote a book, you're knitting. I don't know about knitting, juggling, you're a magician. So my co-host there is Azadeh. She joins us from Paris. And the name of our guest is Gordana Mikic. And Gordana, I believe, is in London and is a comedian. So we have at 2:00, we have It's Earth Day, and my co-host is Ben Chai, and our guest is Kent Swampy Glade. At 4:00, we have It's All About Dating, and my guest is Crystal Morris, and Crystal is joining us for the first time on the platform, so we look forward to meeting Crystal. And Friday, I'm just going to review the shows quickly. Friday at 12:00, we have a new show. This is our 3rd week. It's called Fashion, Fitness, Travel, and Leisure. My co-host is Diane Floyd-Bain, and our guest is Olga Sapzakanova, and she joins us from Dubai. We have at, 1:30, I Have a Story to Tell. Errol Hurd from the BIC Alliance. He's joining us from Texas. And at 3:30, we have presenting Pet Psychic Amina, and our guest is Oscar Garcia. I'm not sure where Oscar's located, but we'll find out. And then at 5:00, we have Alan Bourgois, and he is a writer and author, but he's overcome an incredible amount of adversity in his life, and his story is one that has to be told over and over again. Finally, we have the Variety Show with co-host Lori Mendelson, and our guest is Nancy Zerwin. And I'm not sure where she's joining us from either, but that show is always a fun one. So thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing you over on Clubhouse. Our room is Connect and Mingle, and it's a music room. John Cataldi of House Radio and Lorianne Speed joins us. She's from Vancouver, and she'll be playing live piano music. So that's a wrap for today. Thank you again for being here. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me. What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.